going to get tougher due to widespread flooding and incoming weather. While we have dealt with parts of the flash flooding, we are now going to see riverbank flooding that's going to hit a number of our communities and hit them significantly. I want to thank the President for approving our emergency disaster declaration for Kentucky. Last night I got a call from Secretary Noem, and she offered to help, and we've already seen that help today. And the President signed off on our request as quickly as we have ever seen a President sign off on our request. So thank you to President Trump for his assistance. Now, federal resources are available for impacted areas, helping us to better respond and support affected Kentuckians. Where we are right now is in the emergency response phase. This is the search and rescue phase. And I am very proud of all the Kentuckians that are out there responding, putting their lives on the line to help others. As we are here 24 hours into this natural disaster, we've already seen over 1,000 rescues. That means there's 1,000 plus Kentuckians that are safe, primarily because of the swift water boat teams, as well as so many other responders that are out there. Unfortunately, this disaster is taking a toll in terms of human life. Even with the incredible response that we've seen, we can confirm that we've lost at least 8 Kentuckians due to this weather event. They include an adult male in Hart County that was related to a motor vehicle accident, an adult male in Pike County that is floodwater related, an adult female in Hart County, also floodwater related, and with her a child in Hart County, also floodwater related. Another adult male in Pike County, an adult female in Washington County, an adult male in Clay County. Those were all floodwater related. And then another fatality related to a motor vehicle accident in Nelson County. We believe this number is going to grow. We hope it doesn't grow quickly or grow much larger, but one way that you can help us out to ensure we have as few fatalities as possible is don't get on the roadways. Now, give time for the water to go down. So many of these fatalities were due to attempts to drive through water and through moving water. So folks, stay off the roads right now and stay alive. We need your help. Today, we just got another 1/2 to 1 inch of precipitation, depending on where in the state you were. This was on top of all of the original projections. That was a mix of rain and snow. We may see some additional light and scattered snow across the Commonwealth today. There's another small system moving towards us, but shouldn't be as significant as what we have already seen or like yesterday. More concerning are wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles an hour, especially for central and eastern Kentucky. Think about how wet the ground is. These gusts mean that we could have trees come down and limbs come down, and we're seeing that in our power numbers. We expect isolated tree damage, uproots, and power outages because of the wind. And it's going to get even more complicated. I'll talk at the end about how Tuesday night into Wednesday night, we're going to have another round of snow that is going to dump at least 1 inch and maybe up to 6 to 8 inches on parts of Kentucky. That will cause significant disruption and closures, especially depending on where we are in dealing with this flood at that point. This emergency phase we're in is going to last at least a couple more days. That's the type of event we're dealing with, and we're going to be actively dealing with this flood for probably the next week in different parts of at least getting things cleaned up. When we look at our operational teams, local swiftwater teams were pre-positioned throughout the state. They started rescues immediately, and they are continuing it. We now have a USART team that is here in the EOC with us, and it has been a great addition. 19 active state swiftwater teams are currently in operation. Many of them are in eastern Kentucky, but they've made rescues in multiple counties. They have worked throughout the night. They are exhausted, but they continue to go out and make rescue after rescue after rescue. We also have federal USAR teams from Indiana, Ohio, and Tennessee that are either operating or they're on their way. So thank you to those jurisdictions for lending a hand in our time of need. Power outages right now, 39,315. That's as of this second. That's actually gone down a little bit. We were over 40,000 earlier in the day. We are seeing our water outages go up. That's normal. And with this riverbank flooding, that's going to create a lot of pressure on these systems. It's going to cause a lot of pipe and line bursts. So we're going to have some significant water damage, just like we did in 22 and the flood in 21. Right now, 9,800 service connections are without water across Kentucky. 26,000 service connections are under a boil water advisory. 2 wastewater systems are not operational. One of those is still underwater, and we're going to have to wait until that recedes to get that back up and going. 21 wastewater systems are under limited operation. 9 wastewater plants are experiencing bypasses. 6 systems are experiencing discharge from portions of their collection systems. So if you look at that, you look at the number of people we've already lost and the damage, this is one of the most serious weather events we've dealt with in at least a decade. We've certainly had our share, and this is another significant one. We want to make sure that we remind people of when to call 911. Our 911 lines have been flooded because there have been real emergencies, but we need them open for real emergencies. So only call 911 if you have an emergency or life-threatening situation. If you do, you make sure you call it. And we've had a bunch of amazing telecommunicators, both from KSP and in our locations, helping to direct resources to people who need help. Rapid needs assessment. If you have immediate needs, but they're not life-threatening, don't call 911. Complete the rapid needs assessment form, which is online, or call the following number, 502-607-6665. This is when you have needs that include your power being out, no heat, individuals with medical needs or disabilities that are not life-threatening. If you are worried about the amount of food you have or you're unable to cook, these are all the types of situations where you call this number, 502-607-6665. We're going to be doing rescues of people whose lives are in danger for at least the next 24 hours. So remember, we need 911 for those people, and we need others to call 502-607-6665. Again, if you're worried about your power, no heat, you have medical needs or disabilities, no food or unable to cook, no or very little drinking water. If you're unable to leave the house because of the water, again, don't call 911 if it's not coming up into your house. Call 502-607-6665. Emergency prescription refills. This is going to be a need, especially in Eastern Kentucky. I signed an executive order that is going to allow Kentucky pharmacists to dispense emergency 30-day refills. FEMA is now on site. FEMA is deployed and is arriving as we see them. And we've actually welcomed Jeremy Slinker back. He was our emergency management director during some of our other most difficult times. He is now the FEMA Federal Coordinating Officer. We're really lucky that the guy who came back to help us in Kentucky has helped us a whole lot in Kentucky. He knows our capabilities. He also knows the types of FEMA resources that will help us the most amplify our response. The Kentucky National Guard, as of 9 a.m. this morning, the Guard has 146 soldiers and airmen actively responding to the ongoing emergency across the Commonwealth. We are grateful for them. The Guard response teams are either pre-positioned or currently supporting Kentucky emergency management missions in up to 16 counties. If somebody needs to get that, feel free if it's important. The majority of these teams are high-axle vehicle crews. These are specialized units equipped to reach and rescue Kentucky citizens in areas where rising water has made standard vehicles unreachable. The Kentucky National Guard stands ready and will work closely with emergency management to anticipate needs, deploy resources, and ensure the right teams are in place. As always, we thank the Guard for their work. One thing that we're working on today is the challenge of getting helicopters in the air because of the low ceiling and the weather that we've had. We think that is clearing up. or will clear up later into the day, so we will have more resources there. That is both KSP, the National Guard, and potentially pulling in other resources as needed from other states for helicopters that have hoist capabilities in areas that are flooded. KSP telecommunicators have answered 1,802 calls for service since the morning of February 15th. That number continues to grow. We've had to evacuate 2 nursing homes and are working with at least 1 hospital. State police evacuated 100 patients from Landmark Nursing Home in Elkhorn City to a local church. Some KSP personnel carried these individuals out to make sure they got to safety. KSP is sending additional troopers from other posts to where the floods have hit the most. We thank them for surging their resources. And KSP encourages motorists, as do I, as will Kentucky Emergency Management, as will transportation, and as will FEMA, to say avoid driving through covered roadways. That's where we're losing the most people. Stay off the roads. If you hit water, turn around. It's not worth dying. Your family cares about you. Wherever you are going, it can wait. You can tell them I said so. Even 6 inches of water can be dangerous. We keep saying turn around, don't drown. We've opened up some of our state parks. We currently have 142 people being housed at the parks. Jenny Wiley State Park is full at the moment with 86 adults, 56 children. I think we have about 20 pets that are there too. We have availability at Pine Mountain. We think Bell is going to get more water. Cumberland Falls and Natural Bridge. We are unable to open Buckhorn in Perry County right now because of road conditions. I hope to be able to get that up and operational if needed over the next day to 2. The Transportation Cabinet have more than 2,000 state high water crew members that have responded in all 120 counties. The biggest challenge of this event is it's everywhere. When the secretary called me last night and said, where are you most concerned about? I said, this event is hitting all 120 counties. So where we had to pre-position assets was in every part of our state, and flooding is still possible around many, many rivers in our state all across. This may be a record, but portions of more than 300 state roads and federal roads are currently blocked due to flooding, slides, or damage. Again, that means we have this type of damage and disruption statewide. Many more have standing water in parts of driving lanes or from runoff. Flood and slide impacts are concentrated in western Kentucky, along our southern border, and in southeast Kentucky. A few roads are closed due to flood walls going up. That's Main Street in Harlan, in Pike County near Williamson, West Virginia, and Catlettsburg in Boyd County. The Panbowl Lake area in Jackson, we have had to evacuate at least 2 different times in the past. There was concern that it might need to be again. It looks like it is stable, thank goodness. But thank you to Mayor Thomas in Jackson and that whole crew that responds so well to the Breathitt County Judge and Fiscal Court. Thank you for your work. Avoid travel if at all possible today. Give our crews time to work. They are safer in their bigger vehicles if you are not on the road. And remember, the same flood fighters are also our snow fighters. So the reason that when we're getting this snow, that it is sticking to the roads is our people have been out battling the floods. And that's why you can't pre-treat roads that the water would have washed away anyways. If travel is critical, remember, go really slow. Take your time. Avoid standing water. Be really, really careful. Otherwise, numerous trees are down. Some employees are cut off from reporting to maintenance facilities. Some facilities are without power in eastern Kentucky. Letcher County maintenance facility is flooded, and Pike County's gotten hit really, really, really hard. Talked to Ray Jones, their county judge executive, yesterday. We got a lot of resources there and helping, but they're also doing a great job with their local emergency management. Hundreds of rescues have occurred in Pike County alone. They didn't get the worst of 2022. It appears that they're getting the worst of this 2025 flooding. We have 12 emergency shelters open. They are in Breathitt, Harlan, Knott, Lawrence, Leslie, Letcher, Martin, Magoffin, and Wolfe counties. We have some state parks that have closings because of the weather. Nolan Lake, Paintsville Lake, Fort Boonesboro, Cumberland Falls Gift Shop Overlook and viewing platforms that are unsafe, and Blue Licks Battlefield trails. Blue Licks Battlefield, the gates that allow access to River Road have been locked and the trails have been closed. The Perryville Battlefield, the bridge on the gravel road is washed out. Fort Boonesboro, water's entered the sites. In Green River, the marina restroom and fishing pier are underwater. Nolan Lake, the water levels are going to impact the bathhouse and campground. We are evacuating inventories from buildings. Buckhorn, again, trouble getting there. Rough River Dam, no access to the marina. When we look at our Department of Corrections, Southeast State Correctional Complex, which is located in Wheelwright, are under a boil water advisory. East State Correctional Complex, Western Kentucky Correctional Complex, and the Bell County Forestry Camp have reported substantial flooding on the grounds. Let me close or move towards closing before I turn it over to show the forecast for Tuesday night into Wednesday. If you all could put this up, we're going to get hit with more snow again while we're still dealing with this flood situation. It's going to be significant in parts of the state, 6 to 8 inches in far western Kentucky, 4 to 6 inches as you move into central Kentucky. Thankfully, it looks like the east will get less, but these forecasts can change, and where the snow will hit moves as we get closer and closer to it. Let me just say the National Weather Service is a critical partner in our response to all of these events. We need a well-funded National Weather Service. We should know that in Kentucky more than anyone. And thank you to all of our meteorologists who help us out and who help me out. I'm going to turn it over now to Eric Gibson, who is doing an incredible job heading emergency management. We're in the EOC right now. We're at level 1. This is all hands on deck. A lot of people that are around us haven't slept. They are working for you. They care about you. They show up in our toughest times and they give it their very best. So we've got to make sure that we appreciate them. If you're their family watching, hug them when they get home and are taking a break. Lift their spirits because we need them back in here because we're going to be at this for several days. Turning it over to Director Gibson.
Thank you very much, Governor, for all the work that you put into this and giving a good update on the status of things that are going on across the Commonwealth. And we take this time just to begin this conference. The part that I want to talk about is just thanking all those local officials out there. I've spoken to so many of you all throughout this event, their county emergency managers, the judges, the mayors, the work that you all have put in. I've heard about it continuously, and I want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. We're here to support you. We're at this level 1 for you. We're there to make sure that we can give you the resources that you need. Keep those requests coming in. We'll keep doing our very best to send you what you need. We understand that it is a very changing situation as this event is unfolding. And we know that this is more of a long duration event than some of the ones that we've experienced in the past. This event will continue for several more days. The rivers are still going to rise as the Weather Service is reporting to us. We continue to see that the levels down the Kentucky River, the Green River, still have a ways to go before they hit the crest. Knowing that, there are still work projects that we'll be doing with our swiftwater teams and also our regular boat teams that can get to the flood inundated areas to provide some relief to the people that are beyond those waters. So if you need assistance and you need help, send that through your local 911 center. They'll send that up to us through the local emergency manager or the area manager, and we will do our very best to get you what you need. If that's a swiftwater team that provides assistance, if it's a high-wheel vehicle from our National Guard partners, or if that's one of the flood crews from Fish and Wildlife, we have plenty of resources available. We have tasked Indiana, Ohio, North Carolina, Tennessee with bringing in additional boat teams, swiftwater teams, as the governor's already mentioned. So there are resources still inbound to Kentucky based on this federal declaration that we were able to work through the night and get signed. So that has opened the door for some federal assistance, and those teams are coming in. So I want the county officials to hear this. If there's any way I can communicate to them any better, is to let us know your needs. Let us find a way to help you through this situation. We're here for you all. This center's been full since the beginning of this event, and thanks to all the staff that are in here with me today. They've been here for the beginning of this since yesterday, and they'll be here for several more days without stopping, shift after shift, making sure that your needs are going to be met. A few things to talk about that are important for us. Anytime there's an event like this, and people in Kentucky have a big heart, and we know they come with their donations in hand to find ways to help their fellow Kentuckians. At this time, we're so early in this event, it's fair for us to say that our distribution centers or those receiving centers are not open for those donations yet. We have water inbound. Emergency management always has a stockpile of water to meet those immediate needs for our counties. We have several semi-loads of water coming in from FEMA due to this declaration, and some MRE or some meals that are ready to eat are coming inbound. So we know that we have some immediate resources coming in. We have immediate resources on hand, and we do not have those distribution centers open yet. And so when we don't have, that's just taken away from some of the other ongoing urgent missions that are coming in. So if you're willing to donate, we appreciate that very much. But at this time, it's very difficult for us to receive those things as we're still doing life-saving measures for our citizens across the state. So just want to make sure I get a chance to say that. Thank you for your goodwill. At this time, it is very difficult for us to manage those donations as we continue to grow this event into county after county of response. A few other quick things. The emergency declaration that was signed overnight will lead us down the path to request the additional declaration, the full declaration for a major incident. By doing that, that's when the rest of the declaration process that you're familiar with comes in. That's that damage assessment process. That's the longer process of writing the full impact of this story to our governor, who will then petition the White House on our behalf for that full major declaration request, which will turn on the rest of those resources. Currently, we're operating under an emergency declaration that we're very thankful to have and get these immediate needs taken care of. But there is still more work to be done. And I say that so that anyone that has damage, please document your damage. Before you start making those immediate repairs, document your damage, have that ready to present. We will be requesting that assistance on your behalf from the state to the White House. And as we do those things, we need to be able to paint that picture that shows how impactful this storm was to you and your family, or to your city, or to your county. And that process is very difficult. So document well, and as we'll be coming through and collecting those damage assessments after this event, after the rescue moves into recovery, we'll start that recovery process, and there will be a typical process of damage assessments, doing those things that are needed to take care of you in the long haul. A few other quick things that we're talking about. I talked about the drinking water in the hospitals. If you have a loved one that's in one of these hospitals that have been evacuated, we'll work with you to let you know where your loved one may be if we've had to move them. We have public health here in this building, and they can work with the hospitals that have been impacted. I know many people are concerned anytime there's a hospital or a nursing home and where's my loved one at? We'll work very hard to help you with that. And the numbers that are posted on the website right now will get you to us, and we will work to coordinate that information to you, because we know how important it is when you don't know what's going on. How can you find out? So we've got that information for you there as well. Like I said, we're getting through this. This is a long haul event. There are many more days of some riverine type flooding that we're going to be experiencing. And then when that water recedes, there's this whole other piece of recovery that will take sometimes many years to get through the entire process. We're going to be here for you during this event, and we'll be here for you after the end of the water's gone, and there's still plenty of work to be done. We have plenty of resources available to try to meet your needs. If we can get those requests put in, we'll do our very best to meet those life-saving measures, is what I'm referring to in that comment. With that, I'll turn it over to Secretary Gray to give an update on the transportation efforts that are going on, road closures, and things of that nature. Thank you all very much.
I want to, as we have Secretary Gray come up, I want to punctuate something that Director Gibson said. Right now, we need everybody home and not on the roads. And so I know everybody wants to bring food or other aid to a collection or a gathering center. We need you to wait on that. As we're in our search and rescue phase, we need our vehicles out on the road, and it's dangerous for you to be out on the road. I promise. There's going to be that time that we Kentuckians get to turn out for each other and provide that aid and assistance, but sit tight, if you will, for now. We don't want anybody else driving through high water. Secretary Gray.
Okay. Thanks, Governor. You know, in the last 48 hours, we have seen 4 seasons of weather: rain, then snow. We've even had thunderstorms, and now we've got snow coming again. So as the governor said, as the director said, it's a serious, serious event. The heavy rain has been up to 6 inches across, and it's impacted all Kentucky counties, all 120. The governor mentioned too, we've had more than 300 state and federal roads across Kentucky that have been blocked due to the flooding. Dozens of rock and mud slides. Now that doesn't include the county roads, more than 300. Now a lot of the damage has been concentrated in western Kentucky, along our southern border, and in southeast Kentucky. But the road closures are all across the state. So, you've heard it, I'm going to say it again. As the governor said, punctuate it. For your own safety, if you don't have to drive, stay at home and let those who are skilled handle the conditions that they're trying so hard to deal with. We have more than 2,000, up to 2,300 Department of Highway crew members and staff and contractors responding full strength to clear mud, debris, and of course now snow. I've talked to we have 12 transportation districts across the state. I've talked to every chief in the state this morning to get the conditions. So some of the things that we're dealing with: numerous trees down, floodgates up in Pike, Harlan, and Catlettsburg. We've had some challenging facilities without power in eastern Kentucky, Fleming County. Letcher County maintenance facility flooded, high water at Pike County equipment garage. Several inches of snow in our District 2, that's Western Kentucky, Madisonville District, in that area, and in Louisville, bursts of snow. Road conditions are improving, with the majority of interstates showing wet pavement and at worst, slush. Traffic is actually helping knock down the snow to wet pavement. I-71 between Watterson and the Gene Snyder, I-264 and 265, got particularly challenging this morning. The northbound was blocked due to a multiple vehicle pileup, but we are seeing movement both south and north now. Glens Creek in Franklin County is closed due to a slide, and it's located right under the I-64 bridges over the Kentucky River. It's been all hands on deck since last week. The state highway crews monitored forecasts, got road clearing equipment ready. They made sure that chainsaws were ready and prepared. They prepared signs and barricades to help Kentuckians stay safe. So remember, 300 closures, you need warnings. So our crews have been doing that. They responded all day and into the night on Saturday, placing high water signs, clearing mudslides and rock slides from travel lanes. So we're continuing to respond, and we are, as the Director Gibson said, we are now assessing the situation as the floodwaters recede for the damage that's occurred. We do know that some pavement has been damaged due to slips and slides. So our engineers will assess, and we will work to repair and reopen just as quickly as possible. Still, road closures in nearly every county in the state due to flooding. And this will be an ever-changing situation as the floods make their way north to the Ohio River. I'm going to talk about the coming weather conditions in a minute. Now, in fact. So it's not over yet. More snow is expected Tuesday and Wednesday. Low temperatures, more challenging. All crews will be on standby, ready to hit the roads to keep them passable. 2 to 6 inches possible, but drier toward the end of the week. As temperatures fall this week, the saturated soils freezing can result in additional rock falls. I was talking to our chief district engineer in District 9, Flemingsburg, Steve Gunnell, just about an hour ago, about the receding waters, especially in eastern Kentucky. There can be more, after the waters recede, more water from challenging drainage conditions, from embankments, can actually come over the roads and then freeze. And it's very difficult to identify that. So this too is why caution and not driving unless necessary is urged. So in short, about these rock slides, the rock falls, we're anxious about that because it will be a week-long concern for everyone. We urge everyone to stay weather alert by monitoring weather forecasts. We've got a website loaded with information and resources for winter driving. It's snowky.ky.gov. You'll find links to your local highway district there, social media accounts, so you can track the latest in your area. And remember too, you've heard this before, that power outages can cause dark traffic signals. Dark signals go out. So treat a dark signal as a 4-lane stop and flashing red signals as stop signs, and proceed with caution as flashing yellow signals. Finally, check traffic on a navigational app like Waze or on our website at goky.ky.gov. Okay, now I want to turn it over to Jeremy Slinker, who we all got used to saying director, the former director of KYEM, Kentucky Emergency Management, who's been a great ally, as the governor said, and a great partner. And he knows Kentucky. And now he is the federal coordinating officer for FEMA. Jeremy.
Thank you, Secretary Gray, Governor, and Director Gibson. You know, I understand when FEMA's standing in this position, we're all facing challenging times of some kind. And so, but that's why we're here. We help people before, during, and after disasters. And that's why immediately upon the governor's request, the emergency declaration was, the need was recognized and signed immediately by President Trump. And that immediately allowed FEMA to open the gates for federal assistance. So we immediately started deploying people overnight and to arrive into the Emergency Operations Center this morning. We have incident management team that is arriving as we speak. They will all be supporting our state partners in some way. That's what we're here for. We're going to stand alongside Team Kentucky and support them in anything they need or any projected thing they need. We will be looking forward and proactively, and if FEMA can provide assistance to solve problems before they're a serious problem, we're committed to doing that. As well as there's emergency communication vehicles coming. You've heard Governor and others mention FEMA-funded urban search and rescue teams that are deploying to the area to help save lives. That's what this emergency declaration is for, is to save lives and sustain lives. And that's what we're committed to do. I'm honored to be along my fellow Kentuckians and Team Kentucky, and we are committed to, the federal government's committed to supporting any need and request that they have and continuing our ongoing discussions as this event continues to challenge us. And with that, Governor, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
All right, we'll take some questions. We have one journalist in studio. We have 5 that are joining us through Zoom. I won't be able to see the Zoom, but I think we've set it up to where we can do this. And we've got to do this in the next 15 minutes because we have a call with local officials, making sure we're meeting all their needs. So we'll start with Karen from WUKY. Yeah, so tomorrow we're not in, are we, for President's Day? We're here. You all are here. We haven't made a call on state office buildings yet. We're certainly going to be looking, especially at Franklin County, where we got about 11,000 people that either live here or come to work. The infrastructure is still there for travel trailers. I think we still have several dozen travel trailers if needed. Still too early to decide if they're going to be deployed. And what we'll need to see is the 2022 flood and the 2021 tornadoes just destroyed homes. They didn't somewhat damage them, they destroyed them. Right now, we're not necessarily seeing that level of event all across Kentucky, but we may in some regions. You know, Pike County is getting hit pretty hard. I know I will be traveling. It'll be when it's most effective to help people, and it doesn't get in the way of any of these USAR teams that are so critically important. Okay, next we have Alex from WHAS on the Zoom.
Governor Beshear, from last night through today, we're seeing emergency response vehicles also getting stuck and submerged in these floodwaters. Can you speak on the toll that these conditions are taking on our emergency personnel so far?
These have been really challenging conditions. They have taken out some of our emergency response vehicles, both statewide and locally. And what that means is we've had to proceed with caution. We want all of our first responders to be safe. We have some teams that are great boat teams but aren't swift water boat teams. And so they are waiting until the current lessons, and then they're able to use their training. But we've got hundreds of first responders that haven't slept and are still out there saving people. Their lives are in danger every single time they go out to help. So give them a lot of room on the roadways. Make sure you're supporting them in every way you can. Think about it, over 1,000 rescues already made. When we look back at the 2022 floods, and we ended up with more than 1,400, this is already over 1,000. So what I'd say about all of this emergency response is, sadly, we have practice. We do get better, and we've tried to take everything we've learned in the past and be that much more ready each time we experience one of these events. And I think we're certainly seeing that in this emergency response phase. I don't think anybody does it better than Kentucky in the way that we bring all these different groups, from the Guard to KSP to all the USAR teams to all our local first responders. It is truly just one unit working throughout Kentucky to help our people. Janice from News Nation.
Good afternoon, Governor. In light of the increasing frequency of severe weather events, can you tell us what long-term strategies are possibly being considered to mitigate future flood risks?
Yeah, what you see is us rebuilding more sustainably so that we can stand up against tougher weather events. And especially when you look in the east, we're actually moving our people from the floodplains to higher grounds. This is another example of why those high ground communities that we're building in many of these areas, from Floyd County to Perry County to Knott County, are so important. Those are areas where this flooding won't happen, where people don't have to worry about their homes. Yes, we would still have covered roadways, but just making sure that people are safe. And it's one of the most ambitious, I think, rebuilds from 2022 that the country's ever seen, but we don't want our people facing this over and over and over again. Certainly when we look at what we've rebuilt since 21 and 22 in the west and the east, it's bridges that can sustain more water moving through and higher level floods. In the west, it's rebuilding houses to where it can sustain higher winds, survive that EF4 tornado if we ever see it again. So the short answer is everything we can to help our people. We learn from everyone, and we try to make sure that we rebuild in a way to where the next one and the next one and the next one, we lose fewer people. I've gotten to know so many of the families that lost people in the tornadoes and in the floods, and we got some hurt families out there after this one and during this one as well. We want to make sure there are fewer families that have to go through that loss as we move forward, and especially praying for that younger child that's been lost in this one. Every death's a tragedy. That one hurts just a little bit more. Tom from Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon to you. You've kind of already said it's a little too early to compare this to like the 2022 floods. But are you impressed, given that there was conversation that the Trump administration was going to delete FEMA, that they responded to this emergency request by you so quickly?
We've only seen a positive response from the federal administration, from the Trump administration during this disaster. I only have positive things to say. How quickly the declaration came through. They sent us Jeremy Slinker. We couldn't ask for more than that. And we're seeing teams come in. We're seeing a full-scale response from FEMA. So grateful to Secretary Noem, grateful to President Trump. And let me tell you, I believe in FEMA, even with the challenges that we face. I think this shows just how important it is, but also that it is fully functional right now out there doing its job. It's still too early to compare. Certainly, though, we didn't get as much rain. We didn't get 15 inches. We didn't see the level of flooding that we saw in Breathitt and at least not yet, in Perry and so many other areas. But the difference between the 2022 flooding and this is it hit the whole state. I mean, we have flooding in Western Kentucky. We have flooding in Eastern Kentucky. So when we ultimately look at the overall damage caused, it might be more comparable in the end than we think. But this one, thankfully, we're with the response that we have. While there will be damage statewide, outside of what we're seeing in Pike right now and what we're maybe a little worried about in Estill later, we're not seeing the same level of damage. Kirsten from WAVE.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Just with the busy winter season that we've had with, snow last month and then this storm, how are crews keeping up, our road crews, everything? How is everyone keeping their morale? And obviously we still have spring to go into after this.
That is a great question. Our road crews, just like our other responders, but our road crews have been working overtime all winter long. We have had storm after storm after storm, and that might, to some of us who aren't on a road crew, we'd say, oh, we're so tired of this difficult weather. We can't wait to get to spring, which I hope has much less rain than we just saw. But the road crews have been out there over and over, never complaining, trying to make it as safe as they can for us. And we need to do two things. Number one, we need to thank them. But number two, we need to keep them safe. Safety has become a part of our DNA in these last several years in the Transportation Cabinet, and we need it to be in everybody else's DNA. One way that you can increase the morale of our road crews is make sure you're moving over. Not when you're just really close to them, but you're moving over in plenty of time, and they can see that respect from everybody out there on our roads that they are doing such a good job. That we got good leadership from Secretary Gray down. Morale is so important, but they are a mission-driven group that believe in what they're doing, and we're really lucky to have them. I mean, it's a Transportation Cabinet that's doing this, that's working on 3 mega projects at the same time, that's doing all their regular job and roads and bridges. So I think in many ways the golden age of the Transportation Cabinet in everything that they're able to do. Let me also say the local road crews are out there doing just as much, and oftentimes they don't get mentioned. They might have fewer resources, but they end up doing just as much work. And the people they're helping out are their neighbors. So a big thank you to all our county and city road crews that are out there helping their communities. And finally, Allie from WDKY.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. You all somewhat already touched on this, but how will the snow have even more of an impact on the damage that's already been done, and how crucial of a role will federal assistance play in the state's recovery efforts following so much severe weather?
If federal assistance is going to be absolutely necessary on the state and the local government side, think about the damages that we're going to have to our roads, which we're already seeing, the mudslides, our water and wastewater systems. Those will all be in the millions. And so how FEMA comes in helps us rebuild, ensures our communities aren't bankrupted by natural disasters. And that's been absolutely critical in every one that we've faced. So having FEMA here having that declaration already signed. We still have to come back when we have our estimates for what we call public assistance. That's assistance to the governmental entities and utilities. And then we'll see if we have enough to get to the individual assistance, where families that have lost are also able to apply. We certainly hit that threshold more in the last 4 years than I think has ever happened, between tornadoes and flooding, and more tornadoes and more flooding. So we'll get a better idea as we move forward in what that looks like. But as large as this event is, certainly we're going to qualify for public assistance. Very likely we're going to qualify for individual assistance. Sure. Our last question deals with Jeremy rejoining us from FEMA. I remember when he called me to say he was going to FEMA. I thought that was a loss for Kentucky, but a great gain for FEMA. And then when he told me that he would be in our region, and there might well be a day where he was the FEMA contact that would come and help us, I saw it as a great asset that could really help. And here he is. His knowledge, knowing how we work, even though we've added on some really important pieces, knowing what our capabilities are, and then knowing all the FEMA capabilities, give us the best way to coordinate, to make sure we have all our assets working to their maximum, that we're not duplicating at all, and his connections that he's made sense with other states and the specific teams. I think we know we're getting the best. You want to add anything to that, or did I brag on you enough? Okay. He doesn't even work for me anymore, and I'm still bragging on him. To everybody out there, while that may be ending on a humorous note, this has been tough, and it's going to continue to be tough. But like you heard from everybody, we're doing everything we can. We are deploying as many assets as we can. We want everybody to be safe. Please do your part. Don't drive through running water. Don't drive through water at all. A lot of families hurting. We'll probably find out about more families that are hurting. We don't want yours to be one of them. So be safe. Know that this is going to be a wild weather week. Know that the rivers still haven't crested in a lot of places, and we're going to see more flooding. But we'll be back with more updates, including later today. I'll have an update on a fund like we created after tornadoes and flooding, where you can help your fellow Kentuckian. Thank you all very much.